You have it turned on?
Yeah.
She can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? I can get closer, I bet. We got on the Democrat side disorder, Durbin, Klobuchar, Blumenthal. On the Republican side, Grassley, Cornyn, Blackburn, Britt, Moody, Schmidt, and Hawley. I'll start. 5-minute rounds. Mr. Willoughby, we all know the federal government can't be everywhere at once. So please tell us how expanded counter-drone authority for state and local law enforcement would support your department's efforts and enhance overall public safety.
Yes, thank you, Chairman, for the question. Really, as you mentioned, the federal presence is limited in its capacity, and we require participation from state and local, tribal, and territorial law enforcement entities to provide the security within their local and state jurisdictions. As Mr. Torfey mentioned, there are tens of thousands of events nationwide that go unprotected from the threat of UAS. And the state and locals within those jurisdictions are ultimately responsible for protecting games, whether it's a college football game in Iowa or an airport in Chicago. The state and locals, again, are the primary first responders to prevent and respond to an incident. And then giving them the authority to detect and potentially mitigate drones would enhance our collective ability as law enforcement and public safety officials to deter and defend against those types of threats.
Okay. Mr. Hardy, drones continue to proliferate, as we know. We need to ensure that our criminal laws keep pace with technology. Can you identify a few major gaps in our criminal code or other laws that need to be addressed to keep up with the emerging threat?
Thank you, Senator. As I indicated in my statement, we have supported your past legislation, the Drone Act, which covers some of the key areas that we view as gaps. The first would be weaponization of drones. Currently, it is generally a civil offense to weaponize a drone. We believe there should be a more comprehensive approach to that, and it should be a felony. The second area is prohibiting knowingly flying drones into protected airspace. That is also now a misdemeanor. Even taking photos of a sensitive DoD facility is a misdemeanor. So that is an area that we also believe should be addressed in additional criminal laws. The third area is the using of drones to interfere with aircraft, airports, vessels, and vehicles. There's currently fragmentary coverage now in the criminal code, and the penalties are generally inadequate. The fourth, which is also addressed in your past legislation, would be using drones to transport contraband into places like prisons. That is an increasing threat and a risk, and we're seeing it on more and more cases of that across the country. Fifth area would be criminalizing or making a felony the impairment of drone identification information. That's going to be a foundation for integrating drones into the U.S. airspace. And then the last area would be using drones to impair with emergency response activities. That's another area where the criminal code is fragmentary. There are some provisions for interfering with wildlife suppression operations or others, but it's not comprehensively addressed, and the penalties are generally inadequate. So those are the main areas. I mean, those reflect your good work in the past legislation, and we're willing to work with you and the rest of the committee to scope those provisions and ensure that we do it appropriately and cover all the different areas that we really need to cover. Thank you.
Mr. Torfey, some privacy advocates suggest that law enforcement should be required to secure a warrant prior to detecting or mitigating a drone that may threaten public safety. Speaking from your hands-on experience, is this a reasonable suggestion? If not, why not?
Thank you for the question, Chairman. Unfortunately, that is not a realistic possibility in actual operations. Our operators have often mere seconds to determine whether a drone presents a credible threat. The warrant requirement would also require specificity of the target that we are attempting to detect, track, identify, and potentially mitigate. And we do not know that in advance, right? We are a safety net. Our operations, our personnel and equipment serve as that last ditch safety net to protect special events, and other covered facilities. So that is not a realistic expectation.
Mr. Willoughby, can you describe your department's process of coordinating with Federal Aviation Administration and other agencies to ensure that counter-drone resources are employed safely and responsibly? And then that'll be my last question.
Absolutely. Every piece of equipment for every deployment at every bespoke location is coordinated directly with the FAA and potentially with the NTIA or FCC as appropriate. It's important for us to maintain that close coordination with the Federal Aviation Administration because our security efforts must go hand in hand with the protection of the NAS and to be good stewards of the commercial air traffic and the others that are operating in the airspace. It's critical that we maintain that relationship, the framework for which was developed as part of the 2018 Preventing Emerging Threats Act. And we hope to continue that framework in the event that our authority is extended and then also expanded to others. We expect them to be held to the same standard.
Thank you all for answering my questions, Senator Rubin.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.